Welcome back to another episode of afriPulse, the podcast where we dive deep into the pulse of Africa's innovation, culture, and opportunities. I'm your host, Ben, and today we're exploring a topic that's piqued my interest: how African YouTube channels are challenging age-old stereotypes and revealing the true beauty of Africa. We'll also look at how investors can benefit from this shift, and how you as an everyday African can capitalize on these opportunities. Let's get started. For far too long, Africa has been depicted through a narrow lens: poverty, conflict, and corruption. These are the images that have been broadcasted worldwide and often overshadowing the continent's true essence. But today that narrative is changing, and it's changing because of people like you and me, African content creators who are taking control of the story and using platforms like YouTube to share the real Africa with the world. And you know what, I'll be honest, I'm an African myself, but I vaguely knew about these different YouTubers until recently. I'd say maybe in the last 2 months or so. And I'd like to give them their flowers, so shout out to Wodemaya, the Megabush family, Miss Trudy, Kelvin Birioti, Kundai Chitima, and a multitude of others who are carrying out this important work. Now let's get into it. So how exactly are African YouTubers changing the game? Well, it's all about authenticity. Unlike mainstream media, I hate that term, but unlike mainstream Western media, which often filters African stories through a foreign lens, African YouTubers are telling stories from an insider's perspective. They're sharing their daily lives, showcasing local businesses, highlighting cultural festivals, and celebrating Africa's vibrant cities and natural wonders. Take, for example, travel vloggers, like Miss Trudy, for example, who are revealing Africa's hidden gems, stunning landscapes, wildlife, and urban hotspots that many never knew existed, or entrepreneurs who are documenting their business journeys, providing insights into the innovative spirit thriving across the continent. These stories are not just countering negative stereotypes, they are painting a fuller, richer picture of what Africa truly is: a continent of diverse cultures, immense potential, and incredible beauty. Now, let's talk about the opportunities that arise from this shift in narrative. For investors, the growing popularity of African content on YouTube presents several lucrative avenues. First, there's the potential to support content creators directly by investing in high-quality content production, whether through sponsorships, partnerships, or creating platforms tailored for African audiences. By doing this, investors can tap into a rapidly growing market. YouTube channels with a large following are not just influencing perceptions, they're also driving consumer behavior both locally and globally. Secondly, there's the tourism sector. As more people around the world see the beauty of Africa through these YouTube channels, interest in traveling to the continent is increasing. This creates opportunities to invest in tourism infrastructure, hotels, resorts, tour companies, and even online travel platforms that cater specifically to Africa-bound tourists. And let's not forget about African brands. With the spotlight on African culture, fashion, food, and crafts, there's a growing market for authentic African products. Investors can benefit by backing African entrepreneurs or starting ventures that bring these products to a global market. You know, I've recently come across the story of an inspiring Kenyan lady. And despite being a child of Kenyan coffee farmers, it took a trip to America, an MBA at Harvard, and a short stint on Wall Street, investment banking, for one Margaret Nyamumbo, who's 36, to realize that she could build a profitable coffee business, and all the while giving back to the sort of farms that raised her. And in 2023, her business, Kahawa 1893, sold more than $3 million worth of coffee. And what I found really interesting is her main customers are in the US. And what I like about this is also that she sources all her coffee from Africa. And as we can tell, she's definitely capitalizing on this shift. Now, this is the part that concerns you as an everyday African. How can you as an everyday African capitalize on this changing narrative? Well, the answer lies in participation and entrepreneurship. So if you have a passion for storytelling, consider starting your own YouTube channel. Share your experiences, your culture, your community. There's an audience out there hungry for authentic African stories. And with monetization options like ads, sponsorships, and merchandise, this can be a very profitable venture. But you don't have to be a content creator to benefit. If you're an entrepreneur, think about how you can align your business with a new positive image of Africa. Whether it's a tourism-related business, a fashion line inspired by African designs, or a tech startup that solves local challenges, there's a growing market for African innovation and creativity. And if you're looking for a more educational route, consider offering online courses or workshops that share your knowledge of African culture, history, or languages. There's a global audience eager to learn, and you could be the one to teach them. But let's get deeper into what you can do to join the bandwagon, to ride the wave. What can you do? How can you set yourself? How can you segment yourself from the rest of the market? How can you make your product unique? We'll talk about this in more detail. Okay, so exporting African products. That's number one. So agriculture and handicrafts. The global interest in African culture extends to its products. Africans can benefit by exporting organic agricultural products, traditional handicrafts and textiles. There's also a growing market for authentic African goods in Europe, the US and Asia. There are certain fruits that you can only find on the African continent. And all it takes is a simple hype train and you've created a market. So you have platforms like TikTok for that. The same way the hype for avocados started, create a hype for your local fruit and see what happens. See what hits. I can imagine, I don't know, for the Shona speaking people, there's a thing called Mawuyu. I don't know the English name for it. No, not Mawuyu. Yeah, even Mawuyu. I was thinking of Masao. Things like that, you could, I feel like they're fairly easy to export in the case of Masao, and you could make a drink out of it. Or, I don't know, there's a multitude of other exotic fruits that will be exotic, to the Western market that you could introduce and try and start a trend on TikTok and see what hits, but this is just me rambling. I don't know but think along those lines. Try and think outside the box. This is the time to ride the wave, or rather the incoming wave. You might not see it now, but this is definitely coming. So yeah, think about it. Number 2, partnerships with international companies. So Africans can seek partnerships with global brands interested in authentic African representation. This could involve collaborations on fashion lines, product design, or co-branded content that highlights African aesthetics and values. For example, the Arsenal 2024-2025 kit, the away kit. It was designed by Fode Doumbouya, who was born in Sierra Leone but he grew up in London. And this kit he designed it in a way to honor his African roots, and it also has, the Pan-African colors. So it's a very African kit, and he's able to express that. And on the same note of Arsenal, the Rwandan government also sponsors Arsenal and PSD, the tourism department to be specific. 2 massive clubs on the global stage. Many eyeballs on the game. They're looking at visit Rwanda everywhere they look. And this definitely boosted, I don't have the numbers, but I'd assume that it definitely boosted their tourism and therefore their economy. So they're seeing the future. Number 3, influencer marketing. So with the growing influence of African YouTubers and social media personalities in general, Africans can capitalize on partnerships with international brands looking to enter or expand into the African market. This includes influencer marketing campaigns that leverage the reach and credibility of local content creators. Number 4, I have diaspora engagement. Africans in the diaspora can be encouraged to invest in or return to the continent, bringing with them skills, knowledge, and capital. The positive portrayal of Africa helps to build confidence among the diaspora, encouraging them to contribute to the continent's development. I see it all the time on Kelvin Birioti's channel, and he's not the only one, but he's the one that comes to mind. He highlights the work that most of the people in the diaspora are doing. So they come back, they're building homes, their retirement homes for the most part, and with his new guests, what they're saying is, so Kelvin, I've been watching your channel and I was inspired by the people that were on your channel, so I decided to do it for myself. So this is the positive effect that these YouTube channels are having. So it's encouraging diaspora engagement. Next, I have sustainable development, but to be more specific, ecotourism and conservation. So the interest in Africa's natural beauty can be harnessed through ecotourism initiatives that promote sustainable travel while preserving the environment. Africans can develop eco-friendly tourism ventures that appeal to global travelers interested in responsible tourism. And I feel like here we don't really need to do much, because in the case of Southern Africa, at least, it seems as if our tourism is fairly sustainable. It's fairly green. Of course, we use jeeps, for the safari and everything, but when it comes to like camping and so on, it's all very nature centric. But when it comes to like more serious issues like conservation, I think we're doing a really good job. I know in Botswana earlier this year, they actually had a problem with elephants. They had too many of them because conservation was working so well. And yeah, it's just one of those things. But maintaining that green element to it, maintaining that sustainability element. But I personally feel that we don't have to do much. Maybe we could improve, but our tourism is fairly eco-friendly, I'd say. Yeah, so that's it for sustainable development and ecotourism. And because I'm for renewable energy, I just had to put it in there. I'm struggling to see how it fits, but let me just say what I wrote down. Maybe it actually makes sense. So yeah, I talked about renewable energy projects. So the focus on Africa's potential includes its renewable energy resources. Africans can lead projects in solar, wind, and hydro energy, attracting investment and creating jobs, while contributing to the continued sustainable development goals. Yeah, that's just a general thing I just wanted to put out there. But by tapping into these opportunities, Africans can play a crucial role in redefining the continent's future, benefiting both economically and socially from the changing global perception of Africa. So, my final thoughts. In conclusion, I'd say the rise of African YouTube channels is challenging stereotypes, and it's just more than a media trend. It's a movement that's shifting perceptions, opening up new opportunities, and allowing Africans to tell their own stories. And for investors, it's a chance to be part of something transformative. And for everyday Africans, it's a moment to seize the opportunities that come with a brighter, more accurate portrayal of our continent. So whether you're creating content, investing in African ventures, or starting a business, remember, you're not just benefiting yourself, you're contributing to a narrative that's changing the world's view of Africa. And that's something to be proud of. Thank you for tuning into this episode of afriPulse. If you enjoyed today's discussion, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this podcast with others who are passionate about Africa's growth and potential. Until next time, stay inspired and keep pushing the pulse of Africa forward.